We'd like to thank Mainspring Companies for sponsoring Season 1 of The Next Entrepreneur. Mainspring celebrates the entrepreneurial journey, and we are very grateful for their support. Okay, so Lennon, what are we making?
Right now, we're going to make an herb chopper. An herb chopper is for chopping herbs. Just it has a handle at the end.
And it's just kind of that rounded blade thing?
Yep.
Okay, so you're going to pull this. You've got that steel up to forging temperature, and you're going to pull that and bring it over to the tire hammer?
Yep.
All right. Hello, I'm Andrew McClendon, your host of the Next Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm excited today to be in the workshop of LT Forge. I'm here with the two founders, Lennon Theriot and Trace Tarver. Gentlemen, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Look, I wanted to come and visit with you guys. Number one, because I've been following your work. These guys, well, why don't you tell us what you do?
We make knives and anything craftsmanship.
Bladesmithing,
Yeah.
blacksmithing.
So it's a blacksmith-based operation, really. I mean, that's where you started, and we'll get into the difference between blacksmithing and bladesmithing, but that's what you're essentially doing is you're making a lot of very usable knives, kitchen knives. I have followed y'all's content on social media and have watched over the last couple of years, I guess it's been, where, I mean, your production is just ramped up so much. Y'all are putting a lot of product out there, and it looks like y'all have been working really hard. And so I'm really impressed with your focus, your production, the quality, and the creativity in your product. Y'all are hardcore young entrepreneurs, and it's just a great pleasure to be here to visit with you guys. We started to tell the story before we came on about how y'all then started to try to melt steel on your own, and tell me about how y'all got started on that process.
The first time we ever experienced anything near it was with my dad's chimenea. We would have it on the porch, and one time I was just looking at the fire. I was like, man, I want to put something in there, see what would happen. And like I came to the shop, we had nails, just random things. We put them in there, just see what would happen. And I think the main thing that I remember was a bar of aluminum that we just had in the shop for something. I forgot what it was for. But we put it in there, and we wanted to see if we could hit it on the ground. All we had was a carpenter hammer and a brick. We were doing it on a brick. Like
we broke a couple bricks.
We broke a brick like the first time we tried to hit it. But we put it in there, we got it hot, and we was like, man, I want to get it hotter. We get it so hot to where right when we pull it out, and this is what all aluminum does, you can't get it too hot or it'll explode. And we hit it, and it
like fireworks just
shattered. And we were like, uh-oh. And we just kept putting it in there, and it kept breaking. So we were like, well, man. So then we just later on moved up to steel, and we were messing around with a nail.
So at this point, y'all are just trying to melt stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. See what we could do.
Yeah. How many experiments did you have to go through before you got to a knife where you were like, okay, I'd show this to my friends or whatever?
Yeah. You made the first actual
knife.
So
the first ever knife I made was with a scrap. We were he was actually moving. They were getting stuff out of a shop.
It was our uncle. He was moving from his house and
to another.
He had scraps and stuff from when he was doing the
That was gold back
Yeah.
then,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And
He had quit doing it, and he was moving. He found this scrap of steel, and he just gave it to us. Said, "Hey, see what you could do with that."
and
And
the scrap already looked like a knife. So what I did to it was I just got a file and put an edge on it and like wrapped it in some string and called it a day. That was
The string with the handle, or
yeah. It was very primitive. And then way update, we got a bench grinder from a friend of ours who's it was just in their shop and they wanted to give it away. And we had that, and I was like, finally, I have a piece of steel I can grind on this with. So
and I was going to interrupt and say, and now your shop is just filled with all sorts of tools that you've upgraded. I mean, you got band saws and all sorts of different belt sanders and grinders, and on the other side you've got a forge and you've got a tire hammer and jumping ahead a little bit here, but you got a drill press I'm looking at here. I mean, you got all sorts of stuff. So at the very beginning, extremely primitive, right?
Yeah.
And so as you built your interest and you began to add some tools and equipment to help you get better at it. So at what point did you guys like start to feel like you were maybe heading down a hobby that could ultimately become a business? And when did LT Forge come into existence?
That same knife that I was working on with the bench grinder, we sold it. It was our first ever sale, and that's when I realized this could be, I could do this, and we started doing it. And then that's when he made his first one, and I think it was a horseshoe.
Yeah.
Yeah, your first one was a horseshoe. Then we started building up to where we started making them out of circular saw blades, small knives, and then we just started building up.
You have all sorts of amazing creativity in your knives, and that's what I mean. If you just looked at the body of the knife, you know, there's some creativity and the different finishes that you guys have done that from the images I've seen, but the handles are just really spectacular. So you guys have made a set of knives for me. I ordered a couple of months ago, probably. Today in this show, we're going to unveil those knives. I've never seen them. Haven't got any images or pictures or any clue, but they're right here. So we're going to take a break, get in a word from our sponsor, and when we come back, we're going to unveil these knives, and I'm very excited to see that. We'll be right back. We would like to thank Modus for their support of the NXT Entrepreneur Podcast. Who is Modus? Modus is a facility services company that works in the e-commerce fulfillment industry across the United States. What do? They like to say they take it from the conveyor to the dock door. What does that mean? It means that they're building the pick stations with the cable management. They're installing guardrails and bollards. They're putting down floor marking. They're putting up aerial signage. These guys build fencing systems, shelving systems, and racking systems. They also do rack recovery for when there's rack failures. They also install dock levelers and dock doors. Modus also installs ASRS systems, which is automated storage and retrieval systems, as well as other robotics projects. They've worked for the largest e-commerce retailers in the world, and they can work for you. If you need to find Modus, you can reach them online at modusmoves.com. And we are back with Lennon, Theriot, and Trace Tarver with LT Forge, and I'm very excited because these guys are getting ready to unveil a set of knives that they did for me, and all right, let's get into it. Okay, so I asked you guys to use your creativity and come up with whatever inspired you guys in the way of how you would make the handles. We define the function of the knives and the size of the knives, and I am super pleased with that. So you've got a mix of materials, which is exactly what I was hoping for. So why don't we start here? This is the fork, and what do we have here? What kind of wood do we have here?
That is Purple Heart with the white is corian.
Corian. I was wondering if that was a stone, and it certainly appeared to be. I love the simplicity of this paring knife.
That was just plain bamboo.
A bamboo. I love it. And I think it's just fitting to have a small knife and a lightweight handle. I love this. This feels perfect. And so this is probably, if this is a 3-inch paring, this is probably the 4-inch paring. Is this bamboo as well, or no?
That's a can't remember exactly. It's a type of ironwood.
Ironwood.
It's a very hard wood.
I love the character in
Yeah,
that wood there. And then
make
what's
sure to
going
keep
on at
that.
the end on the butt of this
That's
thing?
the same thing as the white. It's a type of corian.
It
Just a
looks
different
translucent
Yep,
in
just a
ways.
different color.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Nice finish there. Okay, so who was doing what in this process?
I was doing the blades.
Okay.
And and the designing of it was kind of difficult because we had to get your exact measurements,
Right.
and you wanted different handles, right?
Right.
So we had to go through the templates, and we were putting together different templates and trying to figure out what knife
Yep.
would be best for each different shape.
So you also do the sharpening, right?
I do the sharpening.
You do the sharpening, and
What we actually did is he did the sharpening on the serrated ones, and I did the sharpening on the non-serrated ones.
okay, cool. And this is a serrated one. And what is this wood? It's beautiful. It's dark.
It's that's actually another type of ironwood. It's a black ironwood.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. And so, and the grip is just fine. Now this is thicker. These pairings are made from the bandsaw blades, right? And
That
this
one
is
is the circular saw blade.
circular saw, and it is just nice and thick. Love the weight of these chef knives. And then this is the 9.5-inch chef. Now tell me what's going on with this finish here. This is what we talked about. But what do you call that?
This is actually from the pitting of the rust on the circular saw blade.
Right.
And when we quenched them and tempered them and got and sanded them down, it left that black,
Okay.
which makes it stand out a lot.
And quenching is what? Is that when you
That's when we bring it up to a certain temperature from the forge,
right?
and we plunge it in oil.
Oh, in oil. Wow. Very cool. Beautiful knife. Love the weight of this knife. And this handle, what's going on at the end here? What stone is this?
That's the same thing, corian. All of them, each one is corian.
They're each corian, but up to this point, they're each different
Each
corian.
different.
I love that.
And then the wood, that's also another type of ironwood.
It's beautiful, man. That is a beautiful blade right there. Okay, now this appears to be maybe the 5-inch serrated.
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
5-inch
Yeah.
serrated.
And this looks like a mix of the ironwood and corian
ironwood.
as well. And it appears like most of them have 2 brass pins. So how does that work? You're drilling a hole in the blade,
And the blade,
and then is that a copper pin?
it's brass.
It's brass, and then you hammer them out and then polish them. So that the widening of that brass is that mainly what holds this on, or is there glues in there as well?
It's a type of epoxy that holds
Okay.
it on, and those pins just give it a lot more strength.
Well, Lennon, your dad corrected Trace in our break. I think he'd mentioned y'all done a couple hundred knives, and he's adamant that it's well over 1,000.
Yeah.
And so that's fantastic. I do want to see if you can show us a little bit in the next shop over how you do some of your work and some of the equipment that you've got. This has been fascinating to see that. I want to say that it's so encouraging to see you guys running a business, starting a business, developing a business, and that passion it just rings true in y'all's work, right? The quality that's here. But I mentioned at the top of the show, just your production and how you've been able to continue to ramp up through equipment improvements. But look, you could have all the equipment in the world. If that passion's not there, you're not going anywhere. So I love how your passion rings through in your brand. And, look, you guys are young. But if you had to answer the question of where you think this is going, do you guys have a vision for this continuing to grow? Or what are your thoughts on that?
I think it can. I think if we work hard enough and keep doing it and not lose interest, this could be a thing.
Yeah. Well, I think you're right. But I right now your production is limited to what you can do, but you've done all the things that you can to make your efficiency go up and your production go up. So I think as long as that passion is there, I think it would probably, if it were me, it would probably become a bit of a struggle if I was doing exactly the same thing over and over and over again. But what I see is exciting about what y'all are doing is there's creativity in everything, every product that you're doing.
Yeah, they're all different. None of them are exactly the same.
So what do y'all's friends think about what y'all do?
I don't.
They think it's pretty cool and just crazy. You know?
But on Friday and Saturday nights, I got a feeling y'all are spending time in the shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not partying. Or,
Yeah. And some kids are in the McDonald's parking lot or, just playing music and goofing off.
Yep.
And
we're beating on steel.
Yeah.
We're playing music in the shop.
Yeah. So do your friends ever come by and check y'all out when y'all are working?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah. Very cool. Man, I love seeing entrepreneurs, and you guys are the youngest entrepreneurs we've had on our show by more than a decade, closer to 15 years. And we kind of celebrated the 30-year-old entrepreneurs on our show. And we've had some that are, approaching 80 years old, and as they're exiting their entrepreneurial journey. So you guys got a long way to go, and but it's I think the important thing is that you do it as to the extent that you're having fun doing it, and it looks like if that's the case, you guys are going to be have a lot to work on for a long time. So why don't we head over to the other side of the shop and get another glimpse at knife making in action. Okay, we are in the forge side of LT Forge's business, and Lennon is going to walk us through the processes of forging a knife. Lennon, where do we start?
Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn on my burner, and I'm gonna turn on the forge, and then we're gonna put that steel in there and let it heat up.
All right, let's see it. So how long does it take for that heat up to the point that you can start to...
It shouldn't take that long. It's all about the thinness and the thickness of the steel. If the steel is super thick, like about that much, it can take a long time to heat up. But this is pretty thin.
Okay, so Lennon, what are we making?
Right now, we're gonna make an herb chopper. An herb chopper is for chopping herbs. Just it has a handle at the.
And it's just kind of that rounded blade thing?
Yep.
Okay, so you're going to pull this, you've got that steel up to forging temperature, and you're going to pull that and bring it over to the tire hammer?
Yep.
Is that right?
Yes, sir. Right now, I'm forging out the tail of the knife that's going to come around, and that'll be the handle.
Oh, wow. And we are back at LT Forge's workshop. We've got Pierre Theriot. Pierre, you're father of Lennon, the L in LT. This is your home. This is your workshop, right?
Used to be my workshop.
Used to be. They look like they have completely taken it over and put it to very good use.
That's good, yeah.
So you can tell from what I've said about the boys is how impressed I am about them, and so you must be pretty proud of.
Yeah, really proud. I think the thing I'm most proud of is their passion.
Yeah.
I know when I started in architecture, that was the thing that propelled me to my success was being passionate about what you do, and it shows through in your work.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's the fact that they're that passionate about doing something this cool this early in their life really excites me. So.
Yeah. So you are an architect, right? And you're the director of design
At Holly & Smith.
at Holly & Smith, large architectural firm. And in fact, I interviewed Mike Hawley very recently,
Right.
and the body of work that Holly & Smith has done, and you've been involved in is just so impressive. But from a design perspective, when you look at the creativity in each of the products in this set of knives that they did for me, I was curious what, do you get engaged in that with the boys? How connected are you with them in the process? I mean,
they do most of it. But every once in a while, Lennon will come to me and say, "Hey, Dad, what do you think about this?" And I'll say, "Well, maybe you should do this instead." And just kind of he and I fooling around, sitting on the couch, we've sketched a few knives together, and he's gone and made those knives. So, but it's mostly Lennon. Not one thing I can say about Lennon is that he and you touched on this earlier, is that they really don't like making the same knife twice, and sometimes people will request that a knife be made that they've already made, and I just tell people, you're not going to get that knife.
Right.
You're going to get maybe a version of it. It's going to look similar, but it's going to be different because they just, I don't know, it's something that they just have to make.
Well, I mean, think of an artist
Exactly.
who draws a painting, and
Right.
someone says, "Oh, I like that painting. Can you do that?" That artist does not want to draw that painting.
Exactly.
They
Right.
did
Why
that.
would you want to do that?
Right.
Yeah,
They're ready to move on. So that really, to me, helps illuminate the amount that creativity is a driver in their work and
Right.
in their passion. So that's cool. And I just found it interesting that with the work that you do, being solidly creatively based, that would be something that you found pretty interesting. And
Yeah. So far, he doesn't want to be an architect, so that's good. So we'll see. My wife and I are still kind of just sort of waiting to see where this goes, But I've been real eager to support them in any way that I can.
well, look, Lennon's 15, Teresa's 16. It's not an easy age for a boy or a girl, and it's kind of an age where some kids keep it on track and some kids run in the ditch, and it's got to be make you feel pretty good to know that where they're at when they're in the shop and they're being productive, and heck, they're earning money.
That's right.
And they're creating a brand.
Right.
And something that will, I'll have these knives forever,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So,
I think it gives them a lot of confidence too, and exactly like what you're saying, them being at that age when you're just sort of just becoming a teenager, and you, like you said, it's usually a hard thing for some kids, but they're very pretty well known around this area for what they do. They've been published a few times, and so yeah, I tease with them all the time that they're famous, but. So I think it helps them a lot with their confidence.
I don't think we mentioned this when I was talking with them, but you guys have been going to the Hammond Farmers Market.
Yeah, every Saturday, downtown Hammond from 8 to 12. We're there, unless it's raining.
And it looks like you've been pretty consistent.
Yeah, we've, we'll on a good day we'll sell maybe 4 or 5 knives on a Saturday, which that's good. If we sell one knife, we're happy,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's been a good thing so far.
Good deal. And you have a daughter as well?
I do. Yeah, she's very creative too, Sophia.
Yeah. But she's not a blacksmith.
No.
Okay. Sophia's not.
She likes to draw though. She's very creative in that way. So,
Yeah. Well, Pierre, it's cool being here. It's great to have seen the workshop in action, and I know you're extremely proud.
Yep.
So, anything else we need to know about LT Forge?
I think we pretty much covered it.
Yeah. Okay, buddy.
Thanks,
Thank you
man.
so much.
All right.
I appreciate it. We've recently interviewed entrepreneurs who were celebrating their 30th, their 40th, even their 50th anniversary. And it was refreshing to visit with a 15 and a 16-year-old boy who are true entrepreneurs. I love what they're doing. You might expect someone that age to be doing something digital, and yet they're doing this old school blacksmithing and bladesmithing and woodworking. And I'm fascinated with their production. I'm fascinated with their quality and their creativity. These boys are going to go a long way. So it was a treat to visit with them. They can be found online at ltforge.com. You can follow them on social media as well. We appreciate you guys watching, and we will catch you next time. If you have any questions or comments for us here at The Next Entrepreneur, please reach out to us by email at ask@nextentrepreneur.com. The Next Entrepreneur can be found on iHeartRadio, Apple Music, Spotify, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast platform. You can also follow us on our YouTube channel and on Facebook. You can reach Propel Productions at propelyourstory.com. Our producer today is Daniel Sagona.